Welcome, students. This is Mr. Vargas, and today's assignment is Google Sheets 101, or more specifically, you're going to be making a budget for your dream school. Now, the focus of this assignment is just to introduce you to Google Sheets. Like the previous assignments I've done, it's another Google app that maybe is not as used as much as like Google Docs and Google Slides, but it comes in handy. It is a spreadsheet, so spreadsheets are commonly used in the real world for managing anything with numbers. They're an easy way to organize numbers and to do things with those numbers. So this is our little intro to Google Sheets. So I'm gonna have you make a budget for your dream school, and I'm gonna do all of these steps for you in this video because I know I'm not gonna be available to help you. So I just wanna show you how to do everything. So if any of this sounds confusing, don't worry, just hang tight. I'm gonna demonstrate in a second. I want every Google Sheet to have a name. I want you to enter 5 to 8 expenses for your school, specifically the monthly expenses. Then instead of typing in the yearly expenses, which should be easy because your yearly expenses are 12 times your monthly expenses, you're going to use the power of Google Sheets to calculate it for you using a custom equation. I'm also going to have you calculate the totals. And again, we're going to use the power of Google Sheets, specifically the fact that you can use functions. And we're going to use the sum function to calculate the totals for those columns. Then finally, we're gonna make our Google Sheet or our spreadsheet a little more readable by using alternating colors and also by changing the formatting of the cells so that it actually looks like dollars instead of just decimal point numbers. So let's get started. So when you do this assignment, you're just gonna click on this spreadsheet and you're gonna edit it, do all of the changes, and then make sure you click Turn In. But I am going to just start a Google Sheet from scratch. So if you ever need to make a Google Sheet in the future, this is how you would get started. Now for today, again, you're not gonna do these steps. You're just gonna click on this document and everyone gets their own copy. You should be able to edit it and then hit Turn In. But if you ever need to create a Google Sheet in the future, you just go to your Google Drive. And there's other ways to do this, but this is one way to do it. You go to Google Drive and you just do Google Sheets, and you can start from a template, but we're gonna start with a blank one. So a blank sheet. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna name our sheet. So this is for your school, so you can give it the name of your school. Mine, the one that I demoed was MBA Academy. So I'll do MBA Academy budget. All right. So, and then we're gonna enter in our data. So we're gonna have items, and then we're gonna have monthly expenses. Monthly expenses. And the items, so to run a school, what do you need? You need teachers. So let me do teaching salaries. And let's make that 50,000 a month. And I don't care about the numbers. I don't care if they're accurate. I have a feeling most of your estimates probably will be less than what they really are, but it doesn't really matter. I'm not testing that knowledge. I'm more testing Google, or I want to see that you know how to use Google Sites. So teaching salaries, non-teaching staff, right? Non-teaching staff. Let's say that's 40,000. Maybe the rent for the building. So building rent. Let's say that's 20,000. Let's see, what else do we need? Food, right? So food, let's say that's monthly expenses. Let's say 20,000, right? What else do we need? This is an MBA Academy. I guess we need sports equipment. Let's say 15,000. That's kind of a lot probably for each month, but let's say 15,000. I think in my website I put that we would go to NBA games. So let me put NBA trips, right? Tickets and transportation for all the students. Let's say that's 45,000. Okay, I'm just making these numbers up. It doesn't really matter. I would like you to enter maybe like at least 5, maybe like 6, 7 things here. This is good enough though. So I have 6 items in here. So we have I entered our monthly costs. Now we're gonna have another column over here for yearly expenses. And you can resize your columns by moving this over like this. Like if something doesn't fit properly, you can, you can center things just like you can other programs. I won't focus on that too much though. All right, so yearly expenses. This is where we do something that's, everything else has been pretty easy. Now we get to see the power of Google Sheets. So yearly expenses are the monthly expenses times 12. You could go and do the math manually for each of these. But one nice thing about Google Sheets is you can put in an equation. So I'm going to select this column right here, and I'm going to type equals, and then I'm going to select this column. Notice it writes B2. Why B2? Because this is B2, right? You notice that all of the columns have letters and all of the rows have numbers, and you can refer to a value by its location. So B2 times 12, and you get 60,000. Notice over here, it like kind of took a guess. It says, hey, do you want to do the same equation for the rest of this column? So you could hit check and then you're done. I'm gonna not do the autofill because I want to just show you some other ways to do it. You can also write your equation up here. You can do equals, and then again it takes a guess, and that guess is correct. I want B3. This is B3 over here. B3 times 12. So you can do it like, now if you did autofill, you're all done, but I'm just showing you different ways to do it. Another way to do it is this little corner over here. You can select that and you drag down, and it makes a copy. But notice it doesn't copy 48. It copies the equation. So the equation was B3 times 12. Well, this one, look over here, is B4 times 12, B5 times 12, B6 times 12, B7 times 12. So right here we have the yearly expenses for all of these quantities. So it took each of these and multiplied it by 12, and that's how we get this column. So that's one cool thing. You also have, besides writing your own equations, you can also use built-in functions. And there's hundreds of functions. I'll show you some of them in a second. So I'm going to do another column for total. And over here, I'm going to insert a function. So you could go to insert, function, and there are, if you look at all these categories, look at how many functions there are. I don't even know I know a few of these. Now you might notice some programming terms in there. I think I just went by ifs. You can actually do some light coding in here. If this column is greater than this amount, do that, and so this can be very powerful if you get good at it. But anyways, you can connect to an external database, a bunch of crazy stuff. But we're gonna use a really basic one. We're just gonna use sum. So sum, and then it wants to know the sum starting from where and ending ending where. So we want to start at B2, we want to end at B7. You can just click and just drag, and it calculates the total. So if you did the math, this total, if you added all of this up, it should add up to this 640,000 a month. Now you can, to calculate this column, you can do total again, or you can take this one and multiply it by 12. I think I'll do total again. I'll do this one manually to show you. So you can do equals, sum, and look, it takes a guess. You want it thinks we want from C2 to C7, and that's correct. In fact, I'll just select that, C2 to C7, press enter, and now you have your total for yearly expenses. So this is the main work that I wanted you to do, but two more things. I want to make this easier to read. So one way we can make this easier to read is by turning these into dollars, because it's kind of hard to read. Like, it's hard to tell how many zeros are there. So you can just go over here, select it, and you can just hit this dollar sign, and it formats it as a currency automatically. So then it adds the cents, it adds the dollar symbol, and it also adds the comma that makes these dollar amounts a lot easier to read. You can see over here, my school cost about 7.6 million a year to run, 640,000 a month. So that makes it a lot easier to read. The last thing I want to do is I want to do alternating rows, because if this spreadsheet had multiple columns and a lot of rows, when you're moving across, it's easy to lose track of what row you're on. So a lot of spreadsheet programs let you do alternate colors for the rows. So to do that, you select the data that you want to change the colors on, and then we go down here where it says alternating colors, and then it already did it automatically. Set it to the default. We have a header, which we want, right? Because this is a header. Technically, this has a footer as well, so I'm gonna click footer, right? Footer is just, a row at the bottom that's not like the same as the other rows. In this case, we're doing a total, so that this is different than these. So we have a header, we have a footer. You can change the color to a different style if you want. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So now we have a nice little formatted spreadsheet of a budget for your school. So please complete this for your school and hit turn in, and you will receive full credit for today. Thank you for watching.